All right, so let's go. We are up to. We are on Lamed Vav Amud Aleph 36a, and we left off last night. Where? Korah. Thank you. All right, good. 4 lines in, 4th wide line, 2 dots. Korah. Shabbos say, what's the halach? Oh, all right, I still owe you. We're going to see if we get to it tonight. I do want to go back to olive oil because we didn't do the halach l'mais on olive oil. Like, what's the bracha for that? Samir Tzashemite. We'll get to that in Mir Tzashem. Well, if we have time tonight, if not, in Mir Tzashem later on in the week. So Korah. Rabbi Yehuda Amar Brei Pri Adam. U'Shmuel Amar Shakol Nebedvar. So we'll say Korah is a shoot of a palm tree, a palm shoot, right? So what's the halacha? So what bracha do you make on that if you eat? Rabbi Yehuda says Brei Pri Adama. Shmuel says Shahakol. Rabbi Yehuda Amar Brei Pri Adama Peruhu. Rabbi Yehuda says Brei Pri Adama because it's a pri, right? It's a fruit. So therefore, Ochel make Brei Pri Adama. Shmuel Amar Shakol Nebedvar. Hol v'sofa lahakshos. Shmuel says you only make a Shahakol. Why? Because since at the end it's going to harden, therefore halacha l'maisa. You only make a Shahakol. Amar li Shmuel Rabbi Yehuda. Shinina kaval seich mistabros. Shmuel says Rabbi Yehuda. Literally, shinna means sharp one. It's a compliment, right? So sharp one. It would seem to be that the halakha follows you, namely that you say Brei Pri Adama. Why? The hatznon sofa lahakshos. Because if you look at a radish, right, a radish, if left in the ground too long, will ultimately harden. So and yet you still make a Brei Pri Adama. So what do you see from here? That even though the palm shoot ultimately again is going to harden, but nevertheless, since it's edible now, therefore it gets a Brei Pri Adama. So the Gemara says, Velohi, it's not a good comparison. Why? Snown nati inish adaita de pugla. Here's the difference. With it snown, with a radish, people plant the radish with the intention of the pugla. Pugla means the bulb, right? The radish itself. Dikla, lo nati inshi adaita de kora. So we'll say when people plant a palm tree, so the palm tree is not planted for the shoots. Why is the palm tree planted? For the dates. Remember again, Eretz Yisrael is date palms, not coconut palms, right? So the palm tree is planted for the dates, not for the palm shoots. So because it's not planted for the shoots, therefore what? Therefore maybe you should only make a shahakol. I'm sorry? Oh no, it is. I was just making the distinction just so you understand that when everything we're talking about palm trees, it's date palms. That was it. Just bonus information. That's all. I think hearts of palm is different. Yeah, I think so, right? Literally, this is a soft palm branch, a palm shoot. This is, but I don't think it's right. David, you're shaking your head authoritatively. Oh, okay. Unfortunately, okay. Oh, Larry's here. Larry, hearts of palm. Okay, it's clearly not on the menu. It's not on the menu. It's on the. I'll comes in again. I should have asked that. Yeah. First of all, you're not supposed to tell us that it comes from a can. We grow it in the back. We grow it in the back. Right? All right. So it does. I don't think this starts about palm shoot. I think is literally again like a palm branch, a soft palm branch that technically is edible. All right. So the Gemara says as follows. The Gemara says, Now we'll say now ultimately again now halacha l'maisa. So now here's the shaila. The shaila so the Gemara is making an interesting distinction. The Gemara says So are you telling me then that halacha l'maisa, whenever you plant something for a particular reason, and then you consume it in a way that doesn't reflect the intended end usage, that you don't make a Brei Pri Adama? In other words, what the Gemara is suggesting is like this. The bracha Brei Pri Adama essentially occurs when halacha l'maisa you're using something in its intended manner. But if it's being used in an unintended manner, then maybe it'll just get a shahakol. So like for example, you're planting the palm tree ultimately again for the dates. So if you eat a palm shoot, okay, it's edible, but you're not going to get a hadama on it or a ha'itz on it, right? Because l'maisa, or a hadama, correct, Rabbi Yehuda, because l'maisa, again, this is not the intended use of the tree. So the Gemara says, here's the problem with that. V'harit slaf. Suppose we're going to talk about this a little bit. Slaf is a caper bush. So what about caper bush with caper berries? Dinati in she'adaita de pircha. People plant the caper bush for caper berries. Utnan, yet we learned, amine nitzba, ala olin va'ala tmaros, omer brei pri adama. Yet we learned that halacha l'maisa on things that come from the caper bush, both from the leaves as well as for the berries. Omer brei pri adama, you say brei pri adama. Va'alev yonos, Well, actually, I should take it back. The leaves are the alin are the leaves. The tamaros are they're like date-like buds on it. That's the tamaros. You say Brei Pri Adama. Al avyonos v'ala kafrisin, on the berries and on the husks on top of the berries. Omer borei pri ha'etz. You say Brei Pri. So what do you see from here? Even though, again, we just said before that the caper bush is planted for the berries. So the berries and the husks themselves are going to get a Brei Pri Adama, Brei Pri Ha'etz, but yet everything else is going to get a Brei Pri Adama. So you see from here that even when you consume things, right, not in their intended way, they still get a Brei Pri Adama as long as they're edible. To which the Gemara says, Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Tzlaf, Nati Inshi Adaita Deshusa. What I say here is the difference. When a person goes in, and apparently when you plant a caper bush, you plant it with the intention to have everything. To have everything, right? Anything that's edible on that, your intention is to eat it. However, Dikla Lo Nati Inshi Adaita Dekura. Ultimately, again, when a person plants a palm tree, they really don't have in mind for the palm shoots. What do they have in mind for? They have in mind for the dates, from a consumption purpose. From a perspective, they have in mind for the dates. The Afagav the Kalsi Shmuel Rabbi Yehuda, and I will say, even though Shmuel praised Rabbi Yehuda, at the end of the day, Hilchasa Kavasi de Shmuel. The halacha follows Shmuel, and therefore on palm shoots you will recite the bracha of Shakol Niya Bidvaro. So we'll say. So I just want to pause here for just a moment, just to catch us up on oil and flour from yesterday's daf, because these are actually interesting sugyas. So very quickly, the Shulchan Aruch in Siman Reish Beis Sif Dalet says as follows. Here we go. I'll post it on the chat later on. Shemen Zayis Im Shaso Kamoshu Eno Mavarech Alav Klal Mishum Dazuki Mazeh. So let's just close out the circle with oil. So olive oil. If you drink olive oil straight, then what's the halacha? You do not make a bracha on it. Why not? Because it is harmful. Now we'll say, remember, this is assuming there are also different grades of olive oil, different types of olive oil. Did I tell you the Ella Valley story? Right, Beit Shemesh, good, right? So in other words, you could get Ella Valley, they make like boutique oils, which you absolutely can drink, you can sip, right? So, but again, the Shulchan Aruch is talking about whatever their type of olive oil, you can't drink it straight. So also, it's actually very important, in Hilchos Berachos, if you eat something that is inedible, there's no bracha on it. There's no bracha on it, right? You take a clump of earth, and you eat it, right? You eat it. It's not all Brei Pri Adama, of course. What's the shayla? Of course, that's the bracha. No, if something that's inedible doesn't get a bracha. So therefore, oil, which consuming it is harmful, right? Is actually detrimental. You don't make a bracha. I will say there's an interesting discussion about what about eating foods that are just totally unhealthy, right? Let's say a person has a high cholesterol and they're eating, I don't know, anything here that we serve at the shul, right? They're eating, right? Something deeper. So now, again, mamish like terrible. If the doctor said, don't eat this food. So what's the halacha? Do you make a bracha? So the way you paskin is yes, because really what dictates a bracha is benefit. Benefit could really be understood in one of two ways. Either some type of we'll call it metabolistic benefit, like there's actually something healthy about this, or taste benefit, which means if something tastes good, even if it's very bad for you, halacha l'mayis is going to make a bracha, which is why, by the way, let's say a person is in a situation where they don't have access to kosher food, and all they have is non-kosher food. Right? So the halacha is you have to eat non-kosher food to survive. Right? It's a mitzvah, it's an avera not to. You make a bracha. You make a bracha on the non-kosher food because, again, also for you in that situation, your halakhic mandate is to go ahead and consume that food. In any event, back to the oil. So the Gemara says if you just drink oil straight, there's no bracha. Now, okay, so let's say now, right? You're eating olive. How are you eating olive oil? You have a nice fresh baked pita or a lafa, right? You're dipping it in the oil and you're eating it. So what's the bracha in that situation? What's the bracha there? Hamotzi, right? Why? Because there we have, remember, we'll say, we haven't seen this sugya yet, even though we've referenced it. You have ikar v'tafel. Whenever you have two items, one primary item, one secondary item, the bracha goes on the primary item and you exempt the secondary item. Yeah?
You said yesterday also, but what if it's a vessel? Like if you go to a nice Italian place and they've got an olive oil with some seasoning in it, and you want...
Oh, wait, we're not finished. Watch. So good. Bar Shimon, hold on. Literally 1 second. So case number one is you're drinking the oil straight, no bracha. Case number two, you're eating the oil with bread. So the bread is primary, the oil is secondary. So of course you're going to go ahead and make a bracha on the bread and exempt the oil. Case number 3, this is obvious case. V'im shesam mu'urav imei silka, anigaron. This was yesterday's daf, right? Let's say I'm drinking the oil in a delivery mechanism, right? So I'm drinking the oil. Remember what was anigaron? What was anigaron? Beet juice, right? I have beet juice, nothing like a little bit of oil and some beet juice. Right? And lemaisa, that's not on the menu either, right? Not there yet. Could be a cocktail. Right? So lemaisa, so I will say, so now in this case over here, so now understand what's happening over here. So I will say, so now, remember, why is someone drinking that? Now let's analyze this. For a little bit. Right? There's 2 possibilities to why I drink it. Possibility, it could be sore throat. That's what we saw yesterday. Possibility number 2 is, I don't know, it could very well be that olive oil just brings out the real flavor of beet juice, right? So now, we're going to depend why you're putting the olive oil in the beet juice. The Gemara says, listen to this. So, imu choshish bigrono, if you have a sore throat, so then it's clear the reason you're drinking this mixture is why? For the olive oil, but you can't drink olive oil straight, so you're mixing it together with the anigar and the beet juice. In that case, we'll say, then what? Then the olive oil is primary. And if that's the case, right, have they shemen ikar or mevarich alav borei peri ha'itz? Rabbi says, isn't that fascinating? So in that case over there, so remember, case number 1, oil straight, no bracha, because it's mazik, it's detrimental. Case number 2, oil with bread is primary. Case number 3, you're drinking oil to mix together with anigaron, beet juice. What's the halacha? It depends why you're drinking it. If you're really drinking it for the beet juice, but the oil just enhances the flavor of the beet juice, then you make a shackle, whatever bracha you make on beet juice. Let's assume shackle for now. But if halacha l'maisa, you're drinking it because you want the oil, right? I have a sore throat, then the oil is primary, and because the oil is primary, ultimately, again, you make a bracha of barei priya eitz. Einom is kavi in the refuah, but again, if you're not drinking the mixture for medicinal purposes, ela la'achila, have the anigaron ikar, the einom avarich ala al anigaron shahakol. So we'll say, but again, if you're only drinking it primarily for the beet juice, but the oil just gives a little bit of flavor to the beet juice, then ultimately, again, you'll make the bracha of shahakol. So we'll say, so coming out from here, kind of to apply this a little bit further, if there were to be olive oil, that is good oil, right? Taste the oil, then halacha l'maisa, again, you would make a bracha of borei periya eitz on that oil. Pretty incredible. Now, we'll say, now, why is it even more incredible? Because in this respect, you'll notice already, we'll say, what bracha do you make on apple juice? Shahakol. So why is olive oil ha'etz and apple juice is shahakol? For this, I'm sorry? So first, it could be shiva something. Again, we haven't done this yet. We're going to see. I will say, but also on a basic level. Remember, correct. Oil is more chashuv than the olive, right? When you see in everything else, the primary item is more chashuv, more important, and the extract is less important. So an apple is considered to be more important than apple juice, right? So the juice is a changed form, doesn't have the same chashivos. Oil and wine, right, are going to be the exceptions to this rule, and flour, and mizonos, and right, in the couple.
Why wouldn't you make just fruit juice?
Oh, so remember, so we had that Gemara, right? What did the Gemara say? Because only wine. I'm sorry. No, you do remember. It's just it's in the subconscious. I'm going to bring it out. As I say, so remember again, wine is different because remember, wine has a maila over oil. What was the maila? What was the level that wine has over oil? Satiates you, right? That remember again, wine makes the heart happy and also satiates. Oil doesn't satiate. So because wine has those two components, wine has even a different level of bracha. But I just want to point out to you that I'm sorry. All right, we're going to get to the wine sugya. We'll get to that. Correct, but it doesn't have to be alcoholic. It's really grape extract, right? So ultimately, I guess, well, it's just interesting to see that olive oil, if you're able to consume it, either straight because it's sweet and it's good, or in a mixture where the primary item you want is the oil, will actually get the bracha of ha'etz and not shahakol. Pretty incredible. I will say one more last thing. All right, I'm sorry, I know we're not doing enough Gemara tonight, but I think that these are important halachas and just interesting to see. You're sometimes, you're at the Shabbos table, there's no conversation. You're like, hey, you want to hear about olive oil? You got 3 cases at your fingertips. This is easily 10 minutes of conversation time. You're welcome. So, I'm sorry? Hanukkah time. This is good. Exactly. All right, so also listen to this. What about flour? Because the flour case is also interesting. So here the Shulchan Aruch says, Siman Reish Ches Siv Hey, Kemach. Afilu shalchit, and if you have flour, even of wheat, mevarich alav shakol niyeh bidvaro v'achar kach borei nefashos. So I will say the halacha is if you consume flour, it's always a shahakol. It's always a shahakol. Now, why is flour shakol? So the Chaburah comments, he says, "Ta'af ta'achal esachite kishu be'en b'chasa b'rei pri adama." I want to say something amazing. If you pick a wheat stalk and you chew on a wheat stalk, you have to. What's the bracha? B'rei pri adama. B'rei pri adama. Yet, if you eat flour, and I will say, by the way, you'll say to yourself, "Who's eating flour?" We actually just had this in Daf Yomi. Besides in Daf Yomi, right? So you could roast it. In other words, you could roast flour, and apparently it was edible, or good even. So Gemara says, but so why does flour get a shahakol? So Mishnah Berurah says, he says as follows. He says, "Ke'acha kevan shenishtana achita shenitchan omelis alos velasos menapas vekodem lazeh yatzam pechlal pri uledarach achilas aloba." This is fascinating. Flour. And then we realize that flour is this fascinating in between state. Right? When you have flour, what have you done? You've removed the item, so it's no longer a pre, right? What was the pre? The stalk of wheat. So now it's no longer the pre, but it's also not in its finished form. What's the finished form? Bread. So what do you do with something that has lost its original form, but is not yet in its final form? So in that case, the Shulchan Aruch says, Shakol Ne'eh B'dvaro. So again, if you ever eat wheat, or if you ever eat flour, right? If you eat a stalk of wheat, hadama. But if you're eating flour, roasted flour, tell me how it is, right? But lemais, not on the menu either, right? But lemais, if you go and you eat flour, just understand the bracha shahakol left the framework of pre, not yet in the framework of bread, and therefore kind of when you're nowhere, when you're in no man's land, so then what are you? You're a shahakol niyeh b'dvaro. I will say, by the way, sometimes it's a good metaphor for where we're holding in life also, right? I'm not in my original form, right? I came into this world so pure, so beautiful, and I know that I'm not yet a finished product. I have so much more to do. So where am I? I'm flour. What's the bracha you make on flour? Shakol nihiyeh bidvaro, which means anything and everything could be made with his utterances. So sometimes there's a beautiful thing about not being a finished product. When you're not a finished product, what does that tell you? You can be whatever you want. So on one hand, I'm sad that I'm not the pure pre that I used to be, and I'm sad that I'm not yet the finished product I could be, but I'm excited because there's no telling what I can become. All right, we'll say shkoyach. Stop here for tonight. More Gemara tomorrow, Mirtz Hashem. More halacha tomorrow. Shkoyach.
Is that why schnitzel is shahakol? Because it's really...
So schnitzel is going to be